I was walking around here before service, and I started counting all the volunteers that we have here every Sunday to make this happen for all of us. I lost count at 20. And, it was like, well, I got to get in here now, so I got to stop counting. It is just amazing to me that every Sunday we have at least 20, if not more, dedicated people that volunteer to make this community happen. Without them, we couldn't do it. So I just want to give a round of applause for all of our volunteers here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this year, we're studying the 12 great action centers that are within us, the powers, those spiritual powers that bring us to a different level, that bring us to spiritual consciousness. And so discover how the power within you, with understanding, is what we're doing this month. But we're in the 7th month already of talking about these powers. So far we've done love, wisdom, willpower, enlightenment. Strength was last month. You remember that? David and Goliath, do you remember that one? Okay, yeah. And now we're going to be looking at how do we allow ourselves to shift from blindly doing things to actually listening to spirit within, to listen to that voice that is in us. So our spiritual self has been waiting for us to get our acts together and to get out of just using our 5 senses and go into the heart, to the understanding of our hearts and who we are. And our spirit longs to be out of that darkness and wilderness of the 5 senses and come into new life as it were. Those 5 senses being sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. They aren't bad, they're physical. But we're being asked to look beyond those right now into the spiritual realm. I have to tell you a story. When I was a little girl, I thought new life meant heaven. So new life will start for you, Eileen, when you go to heaven. Right now you need to be a good little girl and do everything you need to do so that you can come to that new life. Well, when I was 12 years old, I had an emergency appendectomy. Rushed to the hospital. When I get home, I have this big tube hanging out of my stomach. And I'm thinking, as a 12-year-old, if you can go back to being 12, think about it. I was afraid that I was dying and was being called to new life. I wasn't ready for this new life. And I'm lying on the sofa in my parents' home, right? And they're watching Lawrence Welk. Now, some of you know who he is, some of you don't. But I can tell you, for a 12-year-old, it was death. I was lying on that sofa thinking, oh my God, these are my death songs. I'm not going to make it here. Look at this drain. Oh my God. And then I decided, I don't want to leave. In spite of Lawrence Welk, I do not want to leave. What I want is to have a little more time. So I'm going to make a pact with you, the God of my understanding at that age. I'm going to make a pact that if I pray to you every single solitary day, if I worship you, if I adore you, if I remind you how wonderful you are, can I live? Will I be able to live? I mean it. This was really serious for a 12-year-old. I never forgot it, obviously. I also told God, because I was making these deals with him, and it was a him then, I also want to live, really, and have some fun. And what I didn't know then was I wanted to really get into my 5 senses, but I didn't know enough to say that. I just said, work around me, God. Work around me because I want to stay here. As time went on, I got tired of praying. It wasn't doing anything for me, and I just didn't enjoy that so much anymore. But I sure enjoyed being a teenager, and that's what new life was. It was like, what can I do next? How can I have fun next? That's what I want to do. Eventually, though, I became lonely, and life felt complicated and meaningless from time to time. I kept trying to fit into groups where I didn't really belong. I started doubting God and myself, and I was confused about who I was and what I was, other than just this physical being. I had a wonderful but tough mother who kept telling me, "Oh, you'll get over it," when she would see me upset. "You are wonderful, Eileen, you are wonderful." But what happened was, in my mind, I said, "She's my mother, she has to say that. She's my mother, she loves me. That's what mothers say, that's what mothers do." So I didn't count what she was saying as being true. And the emptiness continued for a few years because guess what? I didn't realize I create my own happiness. It's not out there somewhere. That's called pleasure. And that's the fun we have, right, in our lives. That's not happiness. But we seek happiness outside ourselves. It's in here. And it has to do with something that Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. Ask, and it will be given to you. Search, and you will find. Knock, and the door will open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who searches finds. And for everyone who knocks, the door will open. The door opened when I understood that desire was the key. That's what opens the door. I have to have the desire to want to be happy. Get out of the five senses, out of this pleasure mode, and open the door, Eileen. Stop looking outside of yourself. Open the door to your heart. Open the door to your understanding. Me comprehending what I needed to do was one thing, but it requires the ability to make a connection with thoughts and feelings. When we make that connection with thoughts and feelings, that's understanding. That's new life. That's what Jesus was talking about. It's where you begin to live heaven on earth. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will open. New life really means death to negative thinking. It means getting out of your comfort zone. It's work. Are we up for it? That's the question. But I can guarantee that your heart will never, ever open if you're thinking negatively about anything, because those two things don't go together. Open hearts and negative do not go together. That heart just closes up. What that did for me, all of that thinking that I'm responsible for my own happiness, got me turned on to studying all these holy men and women of the world that had gone before me, Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, on and on and on. And it's made me a lifelong learner. The older I get, the more I know I don't know, getting into things and understanding them even better. But I started to look at my life differently because I was willing to find my own happiness. So I looked at long-held beliefs that I had that were keeping me uptight, doubting myself, doubting everybody else, keeping me anxious, trying to please other people, when really that isn't happiness. That is not happiness. So I started studying and meditating like crazy, trying to find out, why am I here? What is this about? And as I was doing that, I was getting a little wise. I didn't know wisdom was kicking in until I realized what wisdom is. It's being able to see beyond the five senses, not get rid of them. Our sight is important, our smell, our hearing, our taste, and our touch. They're all important. But they can lead us to a much deeper, deeper level if we allow them. Maybe you can relate to this. Maybe some of you have had experiences where you didn't know, is God really here in my life or not? I feel a little lost. I'm just wondering, where is God right now when I need God? I don't know. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I'm kind of guessing you did, because we're really all human. And it's interesting what we put ourselves through to get to divine understanding, to get to that power. There is no God out there checking on you, checking on me. There is no God out there. God is in here. God is in everything you see, but God is not up there checking on you and wondering if you're giving God the homage God needs. That isn't who God is. And that was quite an awakening for me, because God was always a he. But now I realize I live and breathe and have my very being because of the God in me. God is, I am. I do God's work. Little old me bringing goodness into the world. That's kind of exciting. Little old you bringing God into this world. It isn't just me. It's all of us together bringing God into this world, bringing goodness and light into this world by our very being. Yeah, I think that's cool. I don't know what you think, but I can really get into that. I think it's really cool. Of course, we have to choose to do it. Here it comes again. I have to take a nice deep breath here, because I have to engage the power of understanding in my life. The gift of instant insight into something. I have thoughts and I have feelings. Is my ego, or am I in charge of myself? So here's an example of something that can go on within somebody. It can go on within me, believe me. Oh my God. I cannot believe that this person keeps giving me advice, telling me I could be doing it so much better if I did it their way. If I thought the way they did. You know? They don't know what it's like to be me. They have a lot of nerve telling me what to do. Okay, there was the thought, and then there immediately was a feeling, right? Instant upset, I can't take it, impatience, feeling disrespected, maybe angry. Then if I allow understanding to come in, and I take a breath, in comes the insight in the situation. This isn't about me. I don't have to take it personally. This person is really only trying to help. It's not a personal affront to me. I can allow myself to feel that heart within myself, and I can respond to that person in a kind way, thanking them for their input. That's what we're called to. How awesome it is to be able to comprehend your own goodness, and then to be able to show it, then to be able to show that goodness. You're actually appreciating yourself, and you're appreciating others, and somebody just wants to help you. That spark of God is in every single one of us. That spark is like what we did last week with a fireworks song. That is in there, alive, boom, wanting to come out, waiting to be activated. I was talking with my son Paul yesterday, and he wanted me to share this lesson with him. So I read it to him, and then he said, can I give you something to add to your lesson? Okay, you need to know my son Paul. He's very intense, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what this is going to be. I said, sure, Paul. He says, please tell the community how you gave me a book when I was in my early 20s because I was so confused about life, and how much that book has helped me in my business and my personal life. The name of the book is, and I bet you some of you have heard of it, You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. That book is by Peter McWilliams. So I immediately got off the phone with him and looked it up to make sure that book was still out there. You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. And I promised him I would mention it today, because if he could remember, he's in his 50s now, so if he could remember that all the way back in his early 20s, it made that kind of an impression on him. I promised him that I would tell you that. So just think about that. You can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. And I just want to tell you this. Unity is the best thing going. It is the best thing going. And Unity of Naples is the very best thing going, of course, as far as I'm concerned. Right. You want a new thought? You want a new life? Everything you could ever want is right here. It starts really with the 5 basic principles of unity. Really, they're principles that take you beyond those 5 senses. Doesn't get rid of them. It takes you beyond them to spiritual living, to making life easier for you, to enjoy things in life even more. Our new members, the people that just became new members last week, and I see you out there, and you've been studying the 5. And we could have gone on for weeks and weeks. We were really delving into it and having fun. And today, what I've been saying to you so far has been everything that deals with the 3rd principle, that we are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts that we hold in our minds. I'm going to say it again. Co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in our minds. You've heard the saying, change the thought, change your mind. Change the thought, change the mind, change the world. One person at a time. You beginning that. So you know what? Let's make a pact together. Instead of making one with God, let's make it with the God within each one of us. Let's make a pact to create something special for ourselves and for everyone else. Change any negative thought that you have about yourself or about anyone else and make it a positive thought. I'll give you an example. I'll never lose weight. 2, there's nothing stopping me. You see? It's that easy. And if you can't think of anything, here's who you are. I am love. Whatever your negative thought is, stop it and go, I am love. I am made in the image and likeness of God. And that is the God's honest truth. That is for sure. So Kathleen's going to bring up a slide, and I would like us to say that together. Okay? Divine understanding is awakened in me, and I am divinely guided in all that I do. I see spiritually, feel spiritually, I know spiritually. I am guided and directed by the wisdom of the indwelling Spirit. That, my dear, dear people, is your homework for the week. At the back of the room, there is it's written out for you so that you can use this. Use me, God, use me. Use this in your meditation. Use it in your prayer, because you are divinely awakened. You are divinely guided all the time. Knock and it shall open. You can see anything you want spiritually. You can see it clearly now, as the song said. You can feel it clearly and know it. All of you here in this sanctuary and online have the power to create whatever you want in your life. You have that power. You're in charge of that. It starts with your thoughts. I don't know what it's going to take for you to understand how sacred and special all of you are. How sacred and special all of you are. I hope you can take that in. I hope you can feel that God love within you. I hope your heart can be open to the truth of who you are as you continue on this week. And so it is. Amen.